everyone, and welcome to the Knowledge Mine. Uh, I'm delighted that we have someone really special with us today, someone who has constantly set a new paradigm for achievement in Indian golf and also for what she has given back to the sport. She exemplifies the spirit, "Hum kisi se kam nahi." And I'm just going to mute someone. Okay. Hum kisi se kam nahi. And, I want to begin by thanking Simi for making the time and for agreeing to share the wealth of knowledge, which I know she has for the benefit of everyone who's going to be online. So, Simi, thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me. And Hum Kisi Se Kam Nahi is also one of my favorite Rishi Kapoor movies.
All right.
So,
just ESP, I just struck me to I should use this term for you because you totally exemplify that. And how this talk will flow is that I'm going to ask her a few questions. I have a long list of questions actually, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions from the audience. And you could post your questions on the chat box, or you could, I will try and weave them into the conversation, or maybe at the end, depending on how the talk is flowing, because I don't want to interrupt when Simi is in full flow. So before we start, a quick introduction about Simi. Some of you may already know this, but she was the first Indian lady golfer to play on the US LPGA Tour. She has won 5 international tournaments. She has had a highest world ranking of 17, perhaps the best by an Indian golfer ever. She has had over 50 wins, or around 50 wins, I think she's lost count, or the Indian Ladies Professional Tour, which she helped co-found with Champika Syal, and that was a huge give back to Indian sport. And I just wanted to also add that something very interesting, which you may not know, but she led the long driving stats on the US LPGA Tour for 3 years running. I mean, that's just an amazing achievement for an Indian girl. Pardon my saying so. So, Simi, there's a long list of achievements. There's a long list of things that you've done for Indian sport. And I just want to thank everybody who has logged in to listen to you from across the world. I think there's a lot of value that they're going to be getting out of this conversation. So let's start. Ready?
Sure.
Yes. Okay,
I
so
will
just
want
tell
to,
us
I
a little
just,
bit
I
about your early days. How did you?
do want to correct something.
Yep.
But hands down, Laura Davies is the queen. She's the longest hitter in the world, but I hit more fairways. I mean, Laura needs,
Okay.
she couldn't hit a fairway. And you guys have experienced it at DLF on the 18th hole. She pulls it on the first fairway and hits it on the green and makes an eagle. So she's the longest,
Wow.
no doubt. But I
Okay.
just, I just hit it straight and long. That's the difference. But sorry,
That's
go
what
ahead.
makes the difference. So, Simi, let's start with your early days. Just how did tell us about your early days in golf?
Basically, I wanted to do anything but study and go to school. I didn't really care for, um, you know, kinesthetic knowledge. It was very hard for me to read and understand. And my mother, Mrs. Simi Mehra, MA LLB in criminal law. My brother, freaking London School of Economics or whatever. So all these my dad, in the eye doctor industry. So I was definitely the black sheep of the family and couldn't get a degree. I couldn't get more than 4. There was a bookstore that escapes my mind the name. I think it was Cosmopolitan Bookstore, if I remember. And whatever money she gave me for stationery ended up golf balls, shoes, gloves. So I didn't have any books. Uh, I just didn't study. It didn't excite me. I woke up with a holding a grip, so I knew that that's something I want to do. And I was a swimmer, a butterfly swimmer, and I
Okay.
think that's why I built these shoulders. And anything I did, very, very competitive. So that's why I got into golf, because I wanted to escape school.
So tell me, Simi, I mean, how did you manage high-level golf and school at the same time?
What school? I didn't go to school. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I
Your parents would
failed.
have allowed that.
No, no. My mother, she'd beat the crap out of me. She did beat the crap out of me on a daily basis. I think that's what kept me in line. I was such a pathological liar as a kid. Man, I could just come up with some amazing, amazing lies. And I think she just beat the lies out of me, and made me realize that one lie is just going to lead to another, which is, I'm not going to be able to, I'm not that smart. To the US playing on the Symetra tour, I started smoking, and I was so paranoid that my mother would somehow find out that I actually wrote her, those airmail letters that you fold, the blue in color, and you mail it. I
That's
wrote her a
right.
letter. Yeah, I wrote her a letter saying, I'm really sorry, but I started smoking, and I hope you can forgive me, and etc. etc. And I gave it to my friend from Malaysia, Irene Yo, who was traveling with me. And I said, mail it. No matter what I tell you, how much I beg you, just mail it. And the next morning I wake up, I said, Xiao Yang, we used to call her nickname. I said, please don't mail it. My mother will kill me. But she said, sorry, Simi, I already made it. So then a couple of weeks later, I get a letter from my mom. And the whole letter was a lecture. In fact, I still have that letter. The whole letter was a lecture, but the last two lines of the letter was, I'm glad you told me and I didn't have to hear it from somebody else. I'm proud of you. So that was, how we pretty much dealt with everything in the house, that come to us first, tell us, and we'll deal with whatever needs to be dealt with.
That's, a wonderful statement right there. But let's get to your golfing very quickly.
Okay.
Simi, during your learning days in Calcutta, RCGC, I understand that your regular four ball used to be Arjun Atwal, Indrajit Bhalotia, and somebody else who would join you. And all these guys have gone to set some new levels of benchmarks. I mean, Arjun became the first Indian to win on the US PGA Tour. You were on the
And
US LPGA
only,
Tour, and the only you're right, and the only Indian.
yeah.
Unless we call Daniel Chopra Indian, which we all tend to do very happily
We
at
would
times.
love to do that, but Daniel doesn't want us to call him Indian. That's the problem. Daniel is very happy being Swedish. So,
Yeah. But tell me, Balotia went on to win repeatedly on the PGA India
yeah.
circuit, and what was it happening that time? Because there was no coaching, there was nothing, no technology, but yet you guys have risen to the highest realms of achievement that's possible in golf, and that too together as friends. What were you guys doing which was so right?
Didn't you just answer it?
No, I
You
didn't.
just said, yeah, you said there was no coaching and no institutionalized manipulation, you
Yeah.
know, and you just said it, your friendship, that is huge. You learn from each other, you learn from your friends. Why do study groups work so well? Is because I might have one way of thinking, and you might have one way of thinking, and we bring it to the table and see what really works. And that's the end result. I think what really set the three of us apart, with Bhalotia, of course, as everybody knows, he used to just monster drive everything. I still remember we used to do things like 17th hole at RCGC. He'd stand on the 16th tee box, towards the 16th tee box, and hit this massive cut, and it'd be on the edge of the 17th green.
Wow.
So yeah, so we played we loved being on the range and shooting the shit, but we weren't really working on swings when we were on the range. We were more working on shots. So I think that's the biggest difference. We weren't, our everybody's basics needs to be good, right? The wheel is invented, it's round, it's not getting any rounder, right? Unless you can now come up with cars that elevate and fly, but we're not there yet. We might be, but as of right now, we need wheels and it's round. So I don't buy into these very fancy teaching methods. I think having really strong basics will take a life in any sport. And that is, you can techniques, but ultimately what will come down is how good your basics are. It always comes down, we say that in anything, in every sport. And I think that's where we differed. I mean, if people don't really know, my mother, I never got a golf lesson. Arjun's father, Bindi uncle, was always giving him advice. He had a really good eye. um, I think Bhalotia was naturally talented with his body. He just made really good moves. I don't think he really knew much technically. And for myself, I had a book. My mother gave me the Fundamentals of Golf by Ben Hogan. Uh, Funnily, I didn't really read the book as much as I saw the pictures.
Right.
So what stood out to me more was the reverse C at the end of the swing. Then, because had I read the book, I would have been somebody who rotates the forearm and hits a draw like Hogan did. I couldn't even, I probably still can't hit a draw. I can hit a pull hook, I can hit a hook, but I can fade the ball with my eyes closed over and over and over and over again. So that was a far more impactful book because of the visuals and, his artwork in it. Those pictures really stood out. And I think children need to learn more from listening to words, because it's too, the analytical side of the brain needs to just shut shop, dukaan band karo aur aage badho. I think that was the difference.
So what were you guys doing? I mean, how did you egg each other up? How did you reach this
You
level of?
really, you really,
I really want to know actually.
yeah, you want all the secrets.
Yes.
I think what really worked for us is that we went against tradition in every manner. We played, I remember we played 108 holes in one day. That was the goal, to see how many holes we can play in one day, continued on. So we did things that was strange, like we tee off and we did start our golf in our life at Tolligan's Club and then graduated to the Royal Calcutta. But, we do strange things like play the golf course backwards, from instead of tee to green, green to tee. From the 18th tee box, we try and play the 9th green. And in those years, it was like weekdays were, there was nobody on the golf course, like literally nobody on the golf course. So we owned the golf course. That was a huge advantage. I think that was the biggest advantage, because Delhi Golf Club has been packed and busy, from many kids. When we were growing up, we had Mr. Bob Wright, who was very, very encouraging to the young kids. I think that makes a huge difference when the person running the golf club is so proactive.
Yeah.
We had a screen every Sunday on the off the 18th tee box, where all the kids sat and watched a movie. That was organized by him. I don't see that kind of
Wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, I don't see that kind of interaction anymore. I see the very traditional, oh, we are the people in charge, and y'all are just the lesser mortals who are the members, and you're just going to do what that's sad. Traditions are great till they start to break down the system, and I think you have to be outside the system. I know I'm trying to go round and round in what you're trying to say, but if you really want the truth, um, we really harassed each other. We continue, Arjun and I, even now when we play, when I'm in Florida and we play almost every day when I'm there, all we do is harass each other. We keep pushing each other out of our comfort zone. There's something that everybody needs to learn. The worst thing you can do in life is actually that.
So maybe we're losing you a little bit.
Can you hear me?
I think we just lost you a little bit there.
Is that better now?
It's better now. Yes. Do you want to just repeat that?
Yeah, so what I was trying to say is that the biggest mistake people, even my mother tells me, tum settle nahi ho. And I once finally told her, I said, Mom, the only people who are settled are the ones who are dead. I don't know. Are we having trouble?
It's going off a little bit in between. But yes, please, Simi, we can hear you now.
Okay. So I think the word settled is very misguiding, because if your heart rate's settled, you're flatline, you're dead. So I think just always being up and down with each other on the golf course really opened up our creation and our creative ways. And all we wanted to do was beat each other. That was our main goal. And it was a very healthy competition. It wasn't mean spirited or mean minded, because we knew that the more we do this to each other, the faster we will learn and get better. So I think that's the key. I think today, when I hear a lot of the parents, they're complaining, and then they make sure that the children are not interacting with other kids, and then they expect these kids to make it. It's a joke. You're not going to make it. Nobody makes it on their own. You need a team.
So, Simi, you've very nicely said a few things. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, Simi, what you said very nicely is that, as friends, you pushed each other, you were trying to get each other out of their comfort zones. There was also a lot of freedom in the club to try out and build your creativity. There was a lot of encouragement. You'll be happy to know that BPGC is doing some similar stuff at the moment. But that said, it's great. Maybe yours and Arjun's stories. I think the only other parallel I see in a similar way was maybe Jeev and Amandeep Johal pushing each other to become, and again both have achieved some very really great success.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
let's hope there are more such camaraderies and duels happening in India. Yeah. Tell
Yeah.
me, Simi, what did you do to work on your game in those days? What else were you doing to get better?
Uh, Everything, playing every sport. It wasn't like we only hit balls. We swam a lot. I mean, we played pittu. I don't know if anybody remembers pittu, but at home we played pittu. We played cricket.
Yes, of
So
course.
yeah, so I think that's where again people lose out, is when you're so focused on trying to get better in one sport, your body doesn't fully develop. Are you losing me?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. And I think playing all different kinds of sport is very important. Learning how to shoot shows you how to focus. Playing snooker. We played billiards, and though I wasn't even allowed in there, but I used to sneak in there. I used to be in there with my brother playing snooker. Another, ball striker, Raju, growing up. I mean, we had some amazing, interesting people. Raju could move the ball in some glorious ways. So I think,
That's right, Rajiv Mohta. Yeah.
yeah. So I think, those kind of things really helped us develop. The fact that our parents trusted us enough to let us be and grow at our own pace, and that's definitely lacking 100%. If you ask me what's holding children back, I'm really sorry to say, please come and prove me wrong, but it's parents. It's too much information on analyzing your golf swing, and not enough focus on creativity, very basic little things that we are completely unaware of, sadly.
Um, Very valid point there, and I'm sure there's an education happening. And at some point today, I want you to give a small message for the parents as well. But let's, for the moment, stick to the golf part. Tell me, Simi, what do you think, other than the golf swing, it takes to be a complete player?
Everybody has a golf swing. Everybody can hit the ball. uh, what the difference between uh, oh, I'll give you an example which is really it in this book given to me by Irina. um, gave me this fabulous book. I was working with her for a bit, and it was called Peak Performance, and it talked about the
Okay.
difference between a good player and a great player. The difference between a Tiger Woods and a Stuart Singh and a Davis Love. They're all fabulous players. They all achieved, but there's something that sets Tiger aside from pretty much everybody. It's just the same way Federer is set aside. Michael Jordan, look at if you watch his series on Netflix, they tried everything to break him down, but he kept pushing the limits, and he did things that nobody else really wanted to do. So
Right.
I think that is where the difference comes in. I was telling you about a very interesting analogy. If you look into the violin, it's the hardest instrument to play, and to become a maestro, you have to come from a family of violin maestros. How bizarre is that? That means to me is that when the child is in the stomach and the parent is sounds anchored into that child who grows up to be another maestro. Why are no maestros coming out from different families? So I think we in school, we are skipping a lot of subjects. And again, I call it institutionalized manipulation. If I keep you with information that I want to control, then you're just going to be my slave. You're going to be my slave to the way I think, the way I believe, and I'm not giving you the opportunity for you to look for what's really out there. There are so many things. I would much rather listen to somebody who sat in a cave for 3 years than somebody who got a Nobel Prize in economics. you know uh, we have some Nobel laureates, we are still waiting for them to save the world. Good luck with that. So I just don't buy into it. I don't buy into these awards, and I just don't. Call me whatever name you want to call me crazy. I wear that badge with pride. So like I said, I learned a lot more going to Tushita Ashram, and a lot more first time in my life, 20 kilos. There's no way you'll be able to do it. It's impossible. And the guide, who was tripping on acid, I think, for sure, because there's no way. Some of the things that he was telling me to do, like, oh, you step on this moss laid rock to cross this waterfall, and if you slip, you die. So there's no savior, there's no rope. I learned a lot more about our sort of strengths than I did sitting in a classroom. 100%. Every single day. If you really want to learn about yourself, go on a death defying trek. You know, uh, you'll be amazed. You're not going to die. You'll be amazed at the potential of the human mind and the human body. Why we not, okay, so give you a very tiny example about school. uh, what do we learn in school? We learn subjects that help us get a job, right? The job helps us make money. So we are learning how to make money. But at no point do they teach you how to manage that money. Isn't that amazing? If I'm learning how to make money, why are you not teaching me how to manage that money? I still don't know how to manage money. I suck at it. If I was भिखारी का a lot of things that they sort of keep away from us. I call them fake teachers, but that's just the truth, right?
Very true,
If
Simi, and interestingly,
Yeah,
the way you put it, yeah. But tell me one thing. I mean, there's a lot of youngsters and good players who are listening to you at this moment, uh, and some of them who are learning at this stage. And I think what you've said very interesting. And this life's going to teach you a lot more, and there's a lot more to it than just the golf swing. And exploring, finding what works uh, is perhaps the route to go. But amongst the things that you've done, just to crystallize the learnings in maybe the next 2 minutes, what would you say were the things that actually helped you become the player and the champion that you became?
Uh, I think the number one thing I did, other than having a really close knit group of friends like Arjun and Indrajit growing up, when I went to the US, I just got attracted and attached to really smart people. Heather Daly Donofrio from Yale, Jenny Chisurporn from Duke. So I really surrounded myself with some
Simi, we're losing you.
real.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
So, like I was saying, intelligence is you make mistakes and you learn from it. Wisdom is making friends with a lot of intelligent friends. You know, and I just made a lot of intelligent friends who kept me straight and narrow. Who, uh, I mean, at no point did Heather Daly Donofrio pander to any of my emotional crap. We've had fights where I told her, I don't want to talk to you anymore. We are sitting in the car. She opens the door and says, get out, walk home. So those are the friends I had. And those are the friends you need. You need a reality check once in a while. You don't need people to pander to everything you believe in, because then you're just dumb. Then you're just another slave to a different person's way of thinking. And I think that what was really what set us apart, or set me apart. That the friends that I made in the mid 90s, like even now, Heather Daly is one of my soulmates. So I think that making really strong friendships is definitely what sets you apart. I really believe that. I really believe that I got to where I did thanks to the people I surrounded myself with. Not only what I had, but what everybody brought into the mixture. And I think that's really key for kids to grow up. And now I've, of course, learned so much more, understood. Like I said, I've been red pilled. I'm unplugged from manipulation, and I have allowed myself to go down very dark places and very light and interesting places that can really help everybody, in the world, everybody. And why not?
Excellent. Very interesting insight right there, Simi. And if you had to just tell your nephew now that, you're getting onto your journey of golf, but these are the few things I want you to do. And today's a day of, instant gratification, instant information too. Kids want that information fast. You're right. One thing is it takes time to bake something, but just to give them an idea, these are the things to work towards. What would you tell him?
Okay. So first, instant gratification, I want to address that. When I was growing up, if I needed information, I would have to, drive or walk to the library in Alapur. We had to go to it's a different thing that I went to the library to pick up, Archie comics, but I did pick up a book one here and there. But whether I read or not, the whole act of going to the library, finding the
Yeah.
subject, opening the book, that sort of connected certain parts in my brain. These are skills I learned to
Right.
find. Today, you've short circuited the brain by thinking that this is giving you information. That's giving you filtered
Right.
information. You know, that makes you zombie. It makes you short circuit your brain. And you're doing yourself a disservice, because what you're doing is taking away your own potential to where you can get at. So so after addressing, I want to talk a little about where you can get to. Have you ever tried to go work out without any music? It's not inspiring. It's not fun. It doesn't push you. But the minute you put music on, what happens to the brain, what happens to the body is phenomenal. So, what is that? What is that? It's a frequency. There's a certain frequency we all want to be in, alpha frequency, that will take you to a different level of learning. And something that really needs to be looked into. I think it's frequency 528, if I'm not mistaken. And you research that, you'll be quite amazed on how you can quickly move forward. You know, you sent me something where it said something very interesting, and I wrote it down. It said, information is the precursor to life. You know, if you are prepared, then you can pretty much deal with everything. And I think that's key, is preparation. And preparation can come in so many different books, so many different interactions, so many different experiences. And we are short circuiting our brain, our potential, to just be enslaved by, you know, what lamestream media wants to feed you. And that's sad. That's really sad. But again, each to your own. It's tragic, but it's each to your own, and you must go through your own journey and your karma and your dharma yourself. I'm going to a different subject. But if you really want to understand, like, go into Gregorian chanting. Nobody probably any, I don't think there's even one person here. You know, I don't know how many people are watching this. Has anybody ever even heard?
I haven't heard this term.
Right. So, like I said, if you want to learn, you'll be amazed at how quickly you'll be going down that path. But if you want to just believe what is given to you, then you've just cut off an entire aspect of learning and reaching, you know, the next level. Gregorian chanting is phenomenal. But what does that mean? Have you ever entered a room where the Gayatri mantra is being played or Sufi music is being played? You'll have, your whole body is aware. What is that? Is it the chanting itself, or is it the vibrations that are caused
Right.
from the chanting? You know, and we need to be in the right frequency, we need to be in the right vibration. And the more you are in that frequency, the faster you're going to learn.
You know, Simi, you've just opened the mental windows to a lot of very interesting things. And I'm sure people who are listening will actually go and explore these things. And you're absolutely right. You know, frequency 528 or chanting or Gayatri Mantra for that matter, and things like that.
Mahamrityunjay mantra, my God, the
Yeah.
Mahamrityunjay mantra, when it goes on, I do, you know, the evening, I do this evening sunset puja with Ipshita, Varun Sahai's wife, you know, who's lovely. And she's a, you know, she's a in the process of becoming one. We have some amazing moments during her sunset, you know, prayer service. It's I'm not telling you to become religious. I think you need to look into the vibrations of the religion more than, you know, the religion anyway. Have I lost you? Are you still there? Can you hear me? I think you've lost
No,
me,
I
haven't
can
you?
hear you. I can hear you.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think, no, I can hear you. It's just that I think overall there's a little weakness in the internet all over the place, I suspect, but that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because I think it's a Sunday and I have 4 bars, so it's quite strange that I keep getting put off. I mean, we keep getting, but I think you're right. I think it's the internet isn't the
Yeah.
greatest. And you know, so that's what I was trying to say. I think we really need to understand frequency and vibrations and the brain. We have to learn the most. The brain is phenomenal. The first brain is your gut. That needs to be addressed immediately. You know, if you're not got the right nutrients, the brain's not going to function. So
Right.
that gut is far more important than you give it credit. You can't be sitting and having a sugar filled drink is to work. We don't know. You know, why are we not taught about the pineal gland? Look at how clever advertising is. If you really want to see, you know, how dumb we are, we correlate food to healthy and unhealthy. Well, just to set you straight, food is not healthy or unhealthy, the human body is. Food either has nutritional value or it doesn't. But it's the food itself is not healthy or unhealthy. So the semantics are extremely important to make an impact. Why do we not learn about, we learn in school ballet and Indian dancing. Why is meditation not there? Why is that not in every single school? I was very lucky, and I want to address this because I don't know if Mrs. Ghosh is alive or not, but when I was in Loreto, we had PE classes, and it was terrible for us at that time because Mrs. Ghosh would make us sit down and do Om, before every single class. It didn't matter if you were Hindu, Muslim, Christian. It was irrelevant. I think creating the vibration for her to be in the right place is far more important. So if I look back and think the little things that help me, making a pick up rackets and play badminton or table tennis or throw ball or basketball, we're like raring to go. But wow, did she put us in the right vibration to go and learn it quickly? I mean, that's why Loreto House is still the best school in the world. Well, maybe that was a stretch, but definitely in India.
But well said, Simi. This is a domain of knowledge which I think people are getting access to, and what we had shared recently about Dr. Joe Dispenza and a couple of other things is phenomenal. The kind of thinking that's
Yeah,
happening. Yeah.
it's ridiculous. I made a few notes about it. Uh, you know, I think what they do, what media does. So, to give you a small example, if you're going to Netflix, everybody's on Netflix being in lockdown, and you look at the Indian shows that we are watching, right? Look at how violent murder, rape, cheat, fraud. Guess what they're doing? They're desensitizing you to what may happen. So it won't affect you. So you start watching these shows that are so violent, there's so much rape, there's so much murder, there's bloodshed, there's cheating, there's fraud. So your brain starts to think that that's the way the world is. So they desensitize you to reality. This is all very well thought of manipulation of the human mind. You know, it's amazing that nobody's ever really paid attention to that. Look at the United States, look at Hollywood, what is done to the US. They're so gung ho war. We want war. Look at every game they play, every movie they watch. They've been desensitized. Not knocking anybody down, but I'm just asking a question. Are you trying to do that? Are you, I want that answer. I want you to answer me. Why are you making these shows? Why are you not making shows about the pineal gland? Why are you not making shows about movement, vibration, frequency? Why is everything on Netflix has to be an expose according to you? You know, uh, I don't believe it. I don't buy into it. I watch it, I get over it. And the best example I can give you is if you are everybody's heard of Game of Thrones, right? Superb show, unbelievable graphics, great story, loads of violence. Everything in that show was violence, dark, rape, murder, sex, incest. Was everything dark and evil, right? Most world that tells you something. But then here comes the Mahabharat without any graphics, rubbish, picturization, and it completely wipes out the viewership of Game of Thrones in 10 days. In 10 days, the Mahabharat in India had taken over viewership of Game of Thrones. So, again, what does that tell you? That there is a bigger, larger force of good that wants to be good. Yeah, the Mahabharata had a war, but it wasn't graphic, it wasn't cruel, they weren't showing like bloodshed. Yes, Draupadi ka vastra haran hua, but we didn't really get to see it. We didn't get desensitized to such to such awful things that happened, whether it's reality, it's fiction. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I think if you just weigh the two, then no matter how hard evil will try, good is just going to come and kick your ass from here to Funky Town. So get used to it.
Simi, good to see you on this philosophical and a very important point that you're also saying
Yeah,
that there's a lot of negative information out there,
be
and
careful.
careful and just allow the right ones to come in, because the mind's going to be a very important element of what these players are going to do and go forward with. But Simi, let's in fact come straight to the mind. You've been a very big believer in the importance of the mind in playing. Tell us some thoughts. What do you do to make your mind stronger and perform under pressure?
So I think I don't know what I was doing then, but I was somehow able to get into a zone. Um, I don't know how I did it. It's probably because I did not get, such fabulous degrees and fancy degrees when I was thinking about education. I think I was always been a very creative person, and I'm a very, very positive person. Even at the worst times, I truly, there's a visceral belief that there is a reason for whatever is happening, and we're going to come out stronger and better for it. um so I
Wonderful.
think that, yeah, that visceral belief, I don't know how it came, because if you meet Mrs. Billy Mehra, she's hardcore. My dad, on the other hand, oh, bless that soul, he was just an amazing gentleman. He treated my mother like the Queen of England. So I grew up thinking that that's how women are supposed to be treated. So I grew up in a very healthy male female. I didn't grow up in a family. Quite the opposite is what I grew up in. So if even my brother till date, he treats my bhabhi like, she's the Queen of England. Whether they have their fights, we all do, that's normal, we are human. But the underlying sort of base, the platform we have, was strengthened because of what we saw and not what we heard. And that is very, very important about life. So if to go back about the brain, everybody knows that what your circadian rhythm is. That your body produces melatonin. But what people don't know is when you wake up in the morning, there's a chemical reaction happening in the brain. You're going from melatonin to serotonin. And that time of the morning is very, very key. That's the time when you should be thinking of all the good shit you did the day before instead of the negative, because you're setting a pace, a trend. If you wake up in the morning and, damn, I shouldn't have done that, and I shouldn't have done that, and I made a mistake there. No, that analyzing is right after your golf, right after your day. The morning, when you wake up, when you're moving from melatonin, change the chemistry in the brain. You change the chemistry in the brain, you change the body. It's all connected. If you think it's disconnected, then you're in the wrong chat show. You need to log out and go somewhere else. But that's the truth. That change in the morning is very important. And like I
Excellent.
said, yeah, I would much rather listen to somebody who spent 3 years in a cave than somebody who went and got institutionalized with a very fancy degree. Not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that's my preference.
It's
That's my
interesting.
opinion and my preference. That's it.
It's interesting, Simi, how many people are waking up to this knowledge and information about the mind, the brain, you know, the enzymes and the hormones that they're producing and what it can do to you, and how
Yeah.
your mind can actually control it. So, is this something that you do specifically as a practice on a daily basis
We are
now?
all different. Yeah, we are all different. Some people can sit down and meditate. Some people can keep their eyes open, walk around and meditate. Some people can meditate listening to music. I think you just have to find where you are, what you're doing, and what suits you. I think the fact that we don't research it, stops you. It's tragic, and it stops you from reaching your potential. And I think, research everything, question everything. Just because an expert says it doesn't mean he can't make a mistake or he's not wrong. So, research and question everything. Be inquisitive. That's, so I actually, even while I'm talking to you, I'm very aware of my breathing, because if you know, breathing controls emotions, controls thought, controls action. Again, why are we not taught to breathe correctly in high school?
Very
Why
nicely
is
said.
that? Yeah, why is that not part of it? I was very fortunate that you introduced me to Gurnandan ji and Rajvinder ji. And Rajvinder, in fact, sent me a message saying, "Don't call me G." And and I got to be part of the IMBO program, which is the, I think, if I got it, intermediate midbrain optimization. And that not only, I didn't go there with, I went there with zero expectations. I was like, I wonder what this is, and this is probably crap. But again, it's because of you, you being my first crush.
Okay.
Into that place, and there were people from different demographics of society, different thought process, different religious beliefs. And I walked in and I was myself. They knew I'm a lesbian. They knew I'm a golfer. I was very upfront. Definitely, I think the first hour or so, they were very taken aback. And by the end of the session, the first day itself, they all wanted my number. It didn't matter whether they believed in, being free and homosexual, or, of a certain practice. They all wanted my number at the end of the day. So, like I said, at the end of the first day of IMBO, they all wanted to be my friend, and they all took my number and chatted. And I had one very sweet boy who said, "Wow, I wish you were younger and straight. I'd want to date you." And I started laughing. you know it was cute.
Okay.
Rajvinder ji.
Again. Yeah, I do remember.
So yeah, I think IMBO should be system, not just. Why should we limit the potential of human beings in one country? Why can't we share it with the planet? And I think it's something that really needs to be shared. I mean, Japan has been holding on to this technology and information for a very long time. And I think it's time to introduce this to young children, like 10-year-old. Teach them how to really manage their emotions. You teach somebody. Okay, so give you a small example. You're driving your car, and somebody almost hits you by backing out of their driving. Your gut reaction is, your body temperature goes up, your blood pressure goes up, and it's instant. Everybody has it. Everybody gets angry. Being angry is not the problem. Managing that anger correctly, that's where we need to get to. So again, going back to the analogy, the guy is backing out of his driveway, and you're driving, and I trust me, I'm the worst. I have major driving problems on the road. I swear at everybody. Well, I used to. I'm a lot better now. And your first reaction is, "Oh, look at that fucking idiot," or "Look at that idiot," or "Look at him, he didn't, like, he didn't see me." But if we just turn the narrative around for a split second, boom, talk is very important. The internal chatter in the brain, are you going to take me down a violent, or are we going to be subjective? There is a period of time in your brain that allows you to be subjective. You just don't choose that option, because it's a lot easier to go down the angry, vilified, victimized path, because it's easier. We human beings are very good at being, this word, look it up, homeostasis. We all want to get back into homeostasis, but you're never going to grow and learn being in homeostasis. The only way to learn in life is to be outside your comfort zone, and that needs to be taught to everybody in school. And IMBO is a fabulous way to start. Please, Rajendra ji. कुछ करिए.
I'm sure she'll be delighted to hear this because I'm also trying to see how to take it across and support them on it. We had some of our juniors in Bombay do it, and you're right. It's a new learning and something that's going to really support their growth.
Yeah.
But Simi, thanks for sharing what you just shared on your own. And the good thing is, I think people who are listening will realize that we've been speaking about golf, and she has not said much about the golf swing, but everything else that goes around making the individual a better individual from various sources of knowledge, which helps him perform better when it comes to it. But Simi,
Everybody,
let's
everybody
get
has
to
a
the
golf
golf swing
swing.
for a few minutes. Yeah,
Okay.
that is true. But everybody kind of spends more time working on the swing than actually going
And
out there and
yeah. And
working
how
on
many
these
of
things
them
which are going to help
and
you
and
actually
and
perform.
and how many of them have made it? All these ones who are just working on the golf swing, how many have made it? Proof is in the pudding again. All I can see in the golfing
Very
industry in
true. Very true.
India, yeah, let's,
Yep.
okay, so apples to apples. Uh, let's talk about the 90s to now we are 2020, right? That's 30 years. The only thing that has changed in 30 years that I can see, yes, other than the introduction of golf to more juniors, the only thing I see is teachers becoming very, very rich. I'm sorry, I'm calling it out, but it's a fact. Uh, and a lot of teachers know everything. And when you know everything, you're never going to learn anything. I think misinformation is far more dangerous than being uninformed. Uninformed, you'll still be open to different ideas. But when you're misinformed, you'll fight that to the death, and sad, everybody is misinformed. Most of the teachers. I can only talk about, I've had a few experiences, but thank God for Jesse sir. He not only, he's very analytical, etc. That's why I made him do IMBO. So, he
Lovely.
might not think, yeah, I did. I made him do IMBO. I made Sagar Diwan do IMBO. I didn't let them, even though Jesse sir would give me all these things, I said, sir, yaar, aap baat mat karo, sirf dikhao mere ko, kya karna hai. That's how I responded. And God bless that man. He's constantly willing to learn and wanting to learn. I think he's the only one who I'm aware of who, and of course yourself. I'm not putting you my first crush in this box, but what was fascinating to me is when I first went to Jesse sir, he said, Simi, you can't even put your elbows together on your side. So how about, you change your body a little bit? And he introduced me to Sagar. Sagar Diwan was phenomenal. I had a huge fight with him, the first day I met him because he just looked at me and he wrote me off. He said, Aapse to kuch nahi hoga. So I went back to Jesse and I said, this man needs to learn how to talk to me. Otherwise, I'm going to kick his ass from here to Funky Town. He doesn't know me and he doesn't know what I'm capable of. And that sort of back and forth with Sagar, a relationship. I mean, we barely met 5.5 years ago, to being somebody who I know he's always there for me. That's brilliant. If you can get that out of even one person in your life, that's brilliant. And I have a army full of them. So I think Sagar to me is, and you're aware that I lived in the US for 20 years and I had access to some amazing practices, coaches, physios, therapists, etc., the best in the world. There's only one physio in the world. Not, I don't even call her a physio. I call her a body worker. Her name is Mona. She lives in Orlando, Florida, and she's the queen. I call her place the House of Pain. She doesn't limit herself. Again, another student, always wanting to learn, wants to try different therapies, etc. Um, Sagar is the same. He's always willing to learn. And these are the people you want to be around. You want to be around people who are wanting to learn, not just from books, etc., but from the student himself. Sagar learned a lot about my body. And you can ask him today, he'll tell you that I'm yet to meet a better, more dedicated student. You can ask him. I'm not blowing smoke up my own butt, but it's in the gym trying to get to where he got. That if there was a muscle he wanted me to move, he'd just lift his shirt up and say, "You see this, Simi? You see that moving when I do this? Move that muscle." So immediately my brain went straight to that muscle, that's the muscle I want to move. So I was not only recreating the movement, I was actually cognitively thinking about which part of my body needs to work. And these are the people that you want to unfortunately I became very lazy, not really, but with Seema's situation, that was more important to me. She is the only thing and the most important thing in my life. So going through her health and situation, but it's okay. I don't mind. I mean, it hasn't held me back. It's like a speed breaker. You're driving a car at full speed and you slow it down. You get to a speed breaker, you go over it, and then you step on it again. So I never write myself off. No way. Bring anybody on. I'll take you on in anything you want to do. I'm a very competitive person by nature.
हम किसी से कम नहीं, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Simi, tell me, I want to just get to the technical side of golf just for a few minutes. Yeah. So tell me, when you're working on your golf swing, actually, you know what, you still have to hit the ball onto the green. And, in the British Open, you set a record of sorts when you hit 18 regulations. And, in those conditions, I think it's still a record which is, I don't know how many people have matched it. But
I don't think anybody has, but
okay.
yeah.
So tell me, how did you go about working on it? What are the things you focused on and still do?
I focused a lot on my legs, a lot. Not so much on my upper body, but a lot on my stability. I wasn't working out in a gym, etc., but I swam a lot. And I think the swimming that I did, I would sort of just let my arms relax on my side and kick and kick and kick and kick the hell out of up and down, a 30, 50-meter pool. And I love swimming. I can, till date, I can, it's going to be hard for you to beat me in swimming. In fact, anyway, that's another story. I'm not going to go there because I do get derailed. But I think, if you want to get good at something, you got to work on the whole package. You just can't work on one part of it or just one movement. It doesn't work like that. You have to first understand what you're doing. Old kid, dad was standing 5 feet away from him. So, I asked her, "Do you notice anything?" And she was like, "Yeah, I noticed how, it was a flow." I said, "That's great. Excellent. But did you notice anything technical?" And, it took her a while to get there because, again, we've been manipulated not to look at what's important. So I said, look at the chest opening up, look at it going vertical. So the more vertical your body moves, the more vertical the ball moves. There's a correlation to all of this. So instead of being, oh, I want to be here and here, you can't. My arms might not be the same size as your arms. My legs are definitely not the same size. My calves, good luck trying to, match that. So we are, our bodies are so different. Trying to get everybody into the same technique, it's not going to work. It's not. It's just not going to work. You have to have a teacher who can take from every teaching, whether it's the David Ledbetter golf swing or it's stack and tilt. Stack and tilt is a great way to get injured very fast. Proof is in the pudding. Just go into the PGA Tour standard. You want to make dreams of winning on the PGA Tour. So when journalists try and compare victories, it's a joke. Just shut up. Nobody cares what you have to say. So look at the players who have stack and tilt or have done stack and tilt. They went through a major series of injuries. Why would you be any different? Oh, because you're younger? Yeah. You are younger. You are in your teens. Good luck when you hit 30 and all of a sudden you have a slip disc or a bad knee. You just took your lifespan in golf from all the way to 65 to 30. That's what I see. Again, proof is in the pudding. Please give me the information, give me the statistics, give me the numbers. They don't have it. It's never been done. It's never ever been done. No comparison has been done in injuries in golf swing. No comparison.
Very true. And but solid fundamentals will take care of that.
Absolutely. Solid fundamentals. And then you see, the teacher learns from the student. If the teacher is a good teacher and is not, somebody who's trying to impose a methodology, they can do best. That's the way to go forward. That's when you get a visceral confidence.
Absolutely.
Only way to move into the big on the big tour, only way to get on with the big boys is when the confidence is visceral. No teacher, no mental coach, no. Good luck with that. None of them can tell you that you're going to make it. Only you can. And it only comes from inside. Like I said, look at me. I'm going to be 48 in a few days, and I'm in better shape today than I was in my 20s. As a kid, I was a fat, chubby kid, obnoxious, aggressive, learned a lot in the journey in life. And I understand the importance of the human mind and the human body and the correlation of it. And I'm in that pursuit of, by the time I'm 60, 65, I want to be in better shape than I am now. I don't buy into the bullshit as you get older. No, that's what you've been manipulated into believing and thinking. We are a species where our cells are recharging and growing constantly. But the minute you start changing the pill doing to your body, have you ever seen what the kidneys have to do to break that stupid pill down? Again, it's instant gratification. We are in a time of instant gratification, and that just leads you down a very dark, sad, depressed. There's so much depression in the world. Why is there so much depression in the what are Hollywood actors' children depressed about? Give me a break. Come to my country, I'll show you depression. Come to the Jhuggi Jhopdi, I'll show you depression. You see the look on these people's faces.
It's interesting, Simi, how the golf swing and again the philosophical background to it. But you're right.
It's attached. It's all connected.
Absolutely connected.
It's
absolutely
fully connected. Yeah.
Okay, tell me, Simi. I want to come specifically to one part of your game which you've been working on constantly, your putting. And what are you doing for it? What are your learnings? What would your advice be?
Right. My advice is, well, obviously not right now because we are in lockdown. But my advice is, I'm not trying to sell you some shit. This is from personal experience. There's something called Sikh golf, SIK. It is for somebody like me who doesn't listen to any numbers, etc., doesn't make any sense. The end result is what I realized, what I was doing, and what I should be doing. And I literally walked out of that. It's normally a 1 hour class, and I walked out 3 hours later. I made, friends with them, and we were shooting the shit, and how I am. And they actually said you should be doing cartwheels on the way out, because I went from being a very streaky putter where, an average of 5 birdies. So it wasn't like I wasn't a good putter. I was a very streaky putter. If I made 5 birdies, I made 5 3-putts. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any technique, and everybody tried to sort of teach me something. It didn't sink in. It didn't feel real. And then last year, and believe me, before I was going to Sikh golf, I had played in the morning with Arjun, and he was making fun of me the whole round. The whole round. He said, "Pata nahi kya bakwas karne ja rahi hai fir se, there's all another crap." I do this Sikh golf, I come back, and I was, I think, 5 under after the first 7 holes. And Arjun goes, Simi.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a analytical part of the putting. I would just pack my bags and head straight to Orlando, Florida. And I'm not being paid by Sick Golf to sell them, sell their teaching, and I make nothing out of it. Trust me, it makes no difference to me whether you do it or don't. It's your life and your choices. But I'm just giving you the information. I think.
What are the things that you picked up from them which made a difference to your stroke and to your putting?
Believe it or not, I was told to do less. How about that?
Excellent.
I walk in and I go, I'm a consistently bad putter. And they just started laughing, and they said the word consistent was so good when you used it, because it's very easy for us to take you from a consistently bad putter to a consistently good putter. So, when you walk up to a coach or a teacher or, one of these programs, and in the first 5 seconds, you hear such positivity that your brain chemistry already is ready to take in the information. Do you know what I mean? If you walk into a program and the person who's teaching is negative, you're shutting so many doors in that brain. Yeah, I don't want to get into philosophy, you'll kill me, but it's a fact. It's
No, I agree with you.
factual. It's absolutely factual that how you perceive yourself and how you are perceived by others. If you perceive yourself positively, trust me, there's not a person on the planet who'll see you any differently. So I think your self-image, your self-thought, not, I shouldn't say image, because that's your reputation, and that's what that's not important. Your character is far more important than your reputation, and we need to really instill that. I think that in putting I was told to do less. That's phenomenal. He didn't tell me to do this and that and that and that. He says, do everything you're doing, but just do less of it. What the hell? There's a absolute mathematical science to distance control.
Right.
How amazing is that? It's a correlation of your backstroke to the speed of your stroke.
Absolutely.
Some people do it naturally. Brad Faxon, bloody hell, one of the most amazing putters ever. Hey, so he makes those putts when they're most needed. You know how difficult that is? He's definitely of a, I call him an alien. He's coming from a different planet altogether. But that's what I learned in putting from Sick Golf. That was huge for me. In fact, I had a whole program set up to take kids to the US as, in the month of June, spend 4 weeks with some amazing programs. There's something called HRV, which is your heart rate variability test. How do you deal with that? There's a plethora of knowledge and information, and we are just not indulging ourselves in it. That's it. We are not indulging ourselves because we are being led, by that carrot at the end, the donkey, how the donkey keeps chasing the carrot. That's what I see. When all these fancy teachers talk, that's what I see. I see a carrot and the donkeys are following them. Sorry, whether you get offended or not, but I think you expect that out of me. It shouldn't be a surprise.
Okay, Simi, I remember you telling me about your experience in understanding green reading when you first went to the tour, and what an eye-opener that was, going from India to... So just give us a bit of an insight, because that will be useful for everybody who's listening here right now.
So like the players taught me on tour. That's just the way they are. There are so many moments where these legendary players, I'm not talking about every LPGA player, but all the legendary players, the Julie Inkster, Beth Daniel, Meg Mallon, Helen Alfredson, Laura Davies, Nancy Lopez, Patty Sheehan, my God, Pat Bradley, Big Mama. She is a plethora of knowledge. Shirley Spock, these people, this is just the way they are. Their daily way of being is sharing information. So I might remember certain moments, that certain things they said to me, they don't, because that's their daily routine. That's the way they function. Julie Inkster, I played the third round with her at the British Open, where I had my top 5. And the following week, we were in Portland, Oregon. And she was really pissed at me. She walked up to me and she goes, "Damn, I put money on you. Why didn't you win?" Because in England you can bet, and they love betting. And, it wasn't the fact that I didn't win.
That she believed you could.
My God, Julie Inks. What the hell? Who am I to think anything less about myself? So, I had a lot of those moments. I'm still in awe of them. They bully me constantly. I had to clean shoes as a rookie my first year. And they will intimidate you. The whole game is, are you going to succumb? I remember my first US Open was Kohler, Wisconsin. And the way the US Open works is that there's a sign-up sheet for the practice round, and it's blind. The only people who see those sign-up sheets, it seems to me, are these legendary players, and they pick all the rookies to intimidate them. And I'm standing, the tee box, it was a hill behind me, and my caddy, Dean Teskey, he says, "Hey, Simi," he Aussie guy, he goes, "Simi, look behind you, look who's walking down." I turn around and I see Dottie Pepper, Rosie Jones, and Patty Sheehan walking down. These are the 3 people I'm going to play my first US Open practice round with. To say the least, I shit myself. And, they bully you, and they just walk on the tee and they say, "You know what? It's $100 skins, and it's too bad you have to." There's no be part of that team. You're never going to be part of that table. And, they all tee off in front of me, and I plied the ball like 40 yards past them. So they all turn around and look at me and go, "Girls come to play." So, all of a sudden, how much ever they tried to intimidate me, I somehow was able to give it back to them. I think it's because I grew up with boys, and that's, what Arjun and the G, we all did that to each other. So it was a habit. And that habit sort of transpired into me being invited on that table. Whether I won events on the LPGA or I didn't, I could play. And that's what's most appreciative. They want to watch good players. I remember walking in Phoenix, Arizona, asking Patty, "What do you do, with the heart rate going crazy?" And she grabbed my shirt and she says, "You play with it." So, wow, what a different way to look at the world. What a different way to think. I'm playing my final round with Annika at Moon Valley. And the night before, I'm still putting on the practice green. It's 7:00 in the evening. And Dean goes, "Look who's walking up." Annika used to go work out in the gym. I mean, this is Annika Sorenstam talking to me. This is 1998, my second year on tour. I'm nervous. And she gives me a putting lesson. My brain, I'm walking back with her and I'm thinking, why is she giving me a putting lesson? I'm sure she's trying to do something. But I didn't keep it inside. Whenever I've had a problem, I go and talk to that person. Like, what's the problem? Let's talk it out. And she said, I said, "Annika, why are you giving me a putting lesson? I'm playing against you tomorrow." And she put her arm around my shoulder and she says, "Simi, we are not playing against each other. We are playing together. We are playing against the golf course. Wow. You bring your A game, I'll bring my A game, and we'll battle it out like lions."
Beautiful.
My God, the entire, artist changed in front of my eyes. The entire everything that I had learned, about competition suddenly changed and flipped to something completely different.
Is that when she shot that 59?
Soon after she shot this 50.
You shot a 65 and well, wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Let
So,
us
it's it's those moments that'll, but how are you going to have those moments if you don't open yourself out to them? How are you going to have those moments if you don't talk to these people? If you think you're all that in a bag of chips, well, you're just not going to last there. You're not.
tell me, do you remember any other such moments which will be of value? Because both these insights are phenomenal. I mean, this just shows the greatness of just the
Yeah.
attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them, till date, you have a problem, uh, you know, they're so willing to help you is because they believe in themselves. I think that's what you need to take away from it. If you are visceral with your confidence, you don't need to put somebody down. In fact, you want to raise them to your level so you can go even higher. That is the way it works.
That's a
It
wonderful
doesn't work.
paradigm shift right there. Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't work the other way around. It doesn't. Good luck if it does. Let's see how far you get in your life, you know?
So is this something you guys picked up in Calcutta? Because you have Arjun, who's a good friend of Tiger's, and you're friends with some of the best players in the world. And uh, managing, is there something about the management or the kid management or the motivation? What is it?
I think it's the fact that our parents trusted us enough, even though we were very naughty and bunked school and did some crazy shit. But we weren't bad kids. We were very good kids. We spent all our time on the golf course eating, and the chicken masala toast and the steak kebabs at Tolly and the swimming. And I think that was the most important key, that our parents trusted us enough to make good choices. And of course, there are certain things, like my mother once told me that be very careful of the five people you hang out with, because you're going to be an average of those five people. So if you hang out with five assholes, you're just going to be an average asshole. I think these little sort of pokes that I got from my mom, whereas my dad was the complete opposite. My dad used to tell me, even if you murder somebody, I know you have done it for the right reasons. So I had like a really good balance, and blind faith. My father had blind me in every, I had pictures of Dimple Kapadia and Madhuri Dixit. Known that I'm, batting on the other side. But my dad used to come into the room and say, "Why are you looking at them? You're far more beautiful than any of them."
How
So,
lovely.
yeah. So when you have that constantly, there's some part of you that starts, to believe it. And I truly believe it's the fact that my mom and my dad and Arjun's parents and Indrajit's parents trusted us enough to be on our own, fall, get up, dig ourselves into a hole, but learn how to get out of that hole and not be there with a rope. That led to us choosing some really good people and good friends when we went to the US. I said, I feel the more you control your child, the more you, try and hold that child in your, the more you sort of take away their potential. And again, my opinion, I could be completely wrong, but that all this whole chat is, obviously coming from my personal experiences and nothing
Simi,
else.
some wonderful insights there, and I'm sure they're going to open a lot of windows in everybody's minds. And
I
I
hope
hope
so.
I hope they explore and they try out Gregorian chants and they try out 528 vibration and all the other things that you have given insights to, including IMBO. And I hope they experiment and get the best value out of them, because I think what's really emerging is that golf is a lot more than just hitting the ball, and
Yeah,
that's pretty clear, right?
absolutely.
Okay, so Simi, I just wanted to ask one or two final questions. There are three, four of them, and one is coming to fitness. I mean, for an Indian girl to lead the driving stats in the US LPGA Tour. I mean, frankly, when I first heard about it myself, I was saying, wow, how did she do it? But what were you doing for your fitness? And you have a lot of belief in breathing and yoga and things like that. Maybe you want to just share that.
Uh, Again, I didn't go to the gym and learn this. And, I wish there was that aspect in my game. I think I would have been a lot less injured. I've had 7 surgeries during my career in the LPGA. That definitely helped me back quite a bit. But now I can tell you that swimming, because swimming is a way of also teaching yourself how to breathe correctly.
Yeah.
There are so many breathing. There's holotropic breathing. I don't know, I wouldn't do it on my own. Holotropic breathing, you need a bit of a
I'm aware of
teacher.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think even anybody on this chat has ever heard of holotropic
I've
breathing.
actually experienced it. And we have some teachers in Bombay who are doing it, by the way. So that's great.
I have goosebumps. When are we going?
Next time, a couple of our kids have actually gone and done it as well.
Yeah, so I think it's very important. There's I think Wim Hof
Wim
breathing.
Hof, yeah.
Yeah, you really need to sort of open your mind. And holotropic breathing I read about a few years ago. It was in combination with holotropic breathing and dark therapy. Dark therapy is almost impossible. I wouldn't go do it. That would scare people. But there are some people who can do it, and why not look at it? um, Basically, what I'm trying to say is question everything. Every piece of information that you're given by these so-called experts. Question everything. Why not? If they're experts, they'll give you the explanation, right? So why would you just listen to everything like a sheep? And why not question it so that you understand how the dots are connected? I think my brain works like that. I'm lucky that I don't sit and, you can put the fan on and enjoy the fan. My brain has to see the electricity go up from the switch to the motor, kickstart it, and then, so that's the way I've always worked. Um, I think that is very, very important, that question everything, because the more you question, the more information you'll get, and the more information natural it'll be. Is that the answer? Did I get distracted again in a different
That's perfectly
direction?
fine. Perfectly fine. There's some knowledge there as well. But Simi, thanks. I want to get to, you wanted to say something about and ask you a little bit about the formation of the WGI and, how did that happen? Because it's a big momentous step for building up the future generation of lady golfers from India. And
Yeah.
you played a very huge role in the formation of it. So, please share us some information on that.
Yeah, you in fact, I think, were eyewitness to the whole thing. You were eyewitness to all the challenges. The way it started is it sort of it was quite strange how it happened. And stuff like this seems to happen to me all the time. I have no idea why. But we were in Montgomery, Alabama. I was on the putting green, and Lorena, again, we always giving each other shit. I keep calling her an illegal immigrant, and you should get in your boat and row back to freaking Mexico. So, yeah, I still do that to her. I know. It's funny. And she found it funny, which is most important. But she walked up to me and said, "Hey, Simi, it's almost 10 years now. You're on the tour. Look at Pac-Man, Seri Park. Pac-Man and I were the first two there were two Japanese players. Fukushima, there were a couple Japanese players on tour, but we were, and Japan already had a tour. So when I say we were outsiders, meaning we came from a country which had no pro golf.
Right.
Korea had no pro golf, India had no professional golf. Japanese players coming on playing on the LPGA was almost the same because they had a Japanese tour. When we got on tour, we immediately became really good friends. Pac-Man wasn't fluent completely in English, but we learned how to communicate without a problem. We played a lot of games and skins together. I was going somewhere with this conversation. Yeah, the start of the WGI. And sorry, and Lorena said that to me. She said, "Look at Seri. Look at how many Korean players. Where is India?" And I thought, oh shit, it never occurred. It had never crossed my mind. Call it selfish, call it focus, call it whatever you want. It hadn't even crossed my mind. And it's so strange that she says that. I think it was 2006 or 5. Um, she says that. I come to India and Champika Syal approaches me regarding starting a pro tour. And mother warned me, said, don't do it. My mother said, don't ever do anything here because you will get beaten up. They will take advantage and they'll throw you on the side, which happened. But I'm still, proud of what I did because I did it without any personal agenda. Um, so my conscience was clear. My thought process in creating this platform was very clear. It had nothing to do with organizations and some fancy names being on part of the organization. It was mostly about creating a platform. No matter how we did it, it was about creating a platform. And Champika Syal and I were the only ones. She can claim whoever she wants to claim and whatever she wants to say. She's written a history about this. I think history should be left to historians. I'm actually very sad and I'm disappointed by Mrs. Sayal by writing that. Called me an invitee. You want to show me the letter or the email you sent me where you invited me because I don't have it. Don't change shit. I mean, look at the people who helped us create this platform. It wasn't amateur golf, but nothing to do with professional input in professional golf. You can claim trying to glorify people, but and they Mrs. Raleigh passed away, so I'm not being negative. It's not that I'm just trying to be honest and truthful. And it's sad that she didn't mention Satish Tandon and V.S. Singh. There's not a single mention of them because they passed away. So if you die, you don't get mentioned. Is that what it is? I was very upset and angry when I read that. And I,
So
in fact,
Simi,
yeah,
I'm glad you remember because I am aware of the efforts of Mr. Tandon and
yes,
we are saying.
he was key. He was key. We wouldn't have a running financial system had it not been for Mr. V.S. Singh. We wouldn't have, the kind of support that we did had it not been from Mr. Satish Tandon. All of these very fancy people on the board. What's going on? You need to give credit where it's due. It's due. Mr. Tandon was a big part of, and I didn't know him from Adam. That's the funniest part. I'd never met these people. I didn't know who they were. I was from Calcutta. I went from Calcutta to America. There was no stopover in Delhi. So I didn't know the who's who and who the fancy people are. So it angered.
But I must tell you, Simi, I had the pleasure of doing a few events for Mr. Tandon. What a visionary. And I know for a fact that he had big plans for the WGI. And unfortunately, it's good to see that they have created a platform. Indian talent is being nurtured. And a lot of players, and I see Ananya and some of the other players on the chat right now, they're benefiting from the opportunity you guys created for
Yeah.
professional golf to happen and talent to be, nurtured.
Yeah. And
So
let me tell
great.
you, there
Simi,
were,
I want to go a little.
I'm sorry, but I will have to say the disservice
Please, please.
that amateur golf did when we were trying to start. I got a letter. I'm happy to reveal the name. I have all these letters. If you don't think I have, okay, yeah, I have letters, I have emails, I have copies of them, I have everything. Don't poke this bear because when this bear wakes up, that's shit's gonna hit storm. I have people who did not want this organization to start. That's it. Nothing else. Don't give me any explanation because I don't want to hear it. You're selfish and self-centered and self-motivated. The word self in front of all of this. And we had a lot of, I had newspaper articles. I had a newspaper article written when I'm in Australia talking about how I'm trying to, I mean, just look at this, right? This is fantastic. Can you hear me or did I get cut off again? But I had a newspaper
I can hear
article.
you.
Yeah, I had a newspaper article written about me by Hindustan Times. Again, I'm not going to mention who wrote it, but that I'm starting this tour for self gain. I'm playing on an $85 million tour. And I'm going to come back to India 7 times a year. My ticket costs me 75,000 rupees. The winner in the tournament gets 45,000 rupees. Mrs. Syal was kind enough to give me a daily best, which got my earnings to 75 to cover my flight. That's it. To cover my flight. I did that 6 to 7 times a year while playing on tour. So you want to talk? Come. Come and sit with me. Then we'll talk. You have nothing to talk about. You have nothing to say because you can't. You have nothing to say. Facts are facts.
But Simi, I must here at the same time, acknowledge the fact that you did travel because it's like stories of Greg Norman flying back to play the Australian Open every year to support his domestic tour.
Yes,
And,
yes.
players like Jeev coming for Indian Open and things like that. Because these are, people don't realize that they are sacrificing a date and a time and an opportunity to make, keep their cards for the next year and various things.
Yeah, and your
And they
health.
actually make the effort to come back and support the domestic tour at loss. So,
Yeah.
a
Look
lot of
at the
people haven't
health.
realized that.
Look
Yeah,
at the health factor. You
yeah.
fly back after teeing it up, finishing a tournament, driving to the airport, catching a flight, arriving in Delhi, teeing it up. I arrived at 2 in the morning and teed it up. They gave me the first tee time. Thank you. Not that it mattered. There were only 6 of us playing, but teed it up, played the event, won the event. Friday finish, get in a flight Saturday morning or Friday night back to the US for another LPGA event. I did that for a few years.
Yeah.
It's not that it was a one-time thing.
People don't realize this, and this is a very, very strong support commitment. It reminds me of what Mr. Milkha Singh would say that they would go for an athletic meet, land in the morning and run in the afternoon. There was no time for recovering from jet lag or swollen feet or whatever. I mean, you just did it. But
Yeah,
not many people realize what all went into it. So,
yeah,
congratulations. I think that support that you gave to get it going made a difference. It got media into the game and actually helped establish women's professional golf. So,
yeah.
well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank
It
you
did
so
make a
much. I
difference.
appreciate.
Okay.
Tell my mother that.
Um,
You tell my mother
Simi,
that.
no, absolutely. And, I will actually because this level of commitment is not easy and people don't realize what's gone behind it. Simi, what would your advice be to juniors today?
Make friends. Make good friends. You want the best advice? That's the best advice I can give you. Make good friends. Make friends that have your back forever. Don't make friends who are going to take you down a negative bullshit path, who will take you away from your full potential. Don't make friends who are going to get you to play PUBG online constantly. These are not your friends. Your friends are not, these are not your friends. Your friends are the ones who come pick you up from your house and play games on the golf course. Those are the people you want to be friends with. You don't want to be friends who are going to take you on an emotional roller that's not taking you anywhere. That's just taking you down a ditch, and good luck trying to climb out of that one. You're not going to be able to. I mean, if I notice every top player in the world, uh, you know, they are like they are the best friends. Julie Inkster, Dottie Pepper, two of the best players in the world, best friends. Why is that? Why? How does it work like that? Tiger Woods and Nota Begay. Why does it work like that? How come he doesn't have off golf friends, who take him out partying and drinking and playing online stupid games, etc., etc., etc. So, again, if you want to know how to get better, make good friends. Help each other out. Help each other out. Because the more you help that kid it's going to come right back at you. It's not a cliche. It's an absolute 100% fact. That's it.
Very nice. Very nice. And what would your advice be to parents, who got kids who are showing some promise and, need to be supported?
Well, the best thing I can tell parents is allow the child to make mistakes. To make mistakes, because the more mistakes you learn, if and if that starts from childhood, like my I'm climbing a tree. I have a mango tree in Yalapur next to my house. I'm climbing the tree, and my mother's looking at me, and she's not telling me anything. I fall and I sprain my ankle, and she said, "You learned, na, how high you can go." So that's how I learned. I had a habit of licking my finger and sticking it into the electric socket. And I remember my dad is watching TV and having his whiskey, and he turns around and he's watching me do that, and I get an electric shock where I'm thrown like 10 feet away. And he just looked at me and goes, "Yeah, you won't do that again, will you?" So, you know, they let us make mistakes. So allow
The
those
lesson
mistakes
right
to
there.
happen. Yeah, allow those mistakes
Yeah.
to happen. Let it happen. Don't be so guarded. uh, don't put your fears into your children, because that's the only thing I see, is that parents put their fears into their children. What a disgrace, how tragic and how sad.
Simi, that's such a powerful statement. Don't put your fears in your children,
Yeah.
Uh, People don't realize it subconsciously. They tend to, just perhaps do it. You need to be alert to it. And the other part is we're all guilty of mollycoddling our kids, including me. So you're right. Let them make some mistakes and they'll learn from it. Just give
Yeah.
them the Chhatri Chaya to recover from it.
Yeah. And don't get your information from Hollywood and
Okay, Simi,
Bollywood.
final. Um, Please, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying don't get your information from Hollywood and Bollywood. They're being paid to say this crap. Like Mr. Shah Rukh Khan is a big
Yeah.
pusher of buy juice. Oh, learn. No, that's not going to take you anywhere. You want to learn about trees, you go out and look at a tree. You don't sit on a laptop and look at a tree. How bizarre is that to even think that? But Mr. Shah Rukh Khan gets a whole lot of money to say that, and that's his main goal. His main goal is not to help you. His first goal is to help himself. So why don't you do the same? First, help yourself, then, talk about others. A bhikari can't help a bhikari,
Okay,
right?
absolutely. Okay. Simi, before we wind up and just take a few questions which may be coming up, any last words you want to say to a lot of golfers who are here who are listening to you?
Wow. Um, I think I've said a lot. My best advice to golfers all around the world, whether India, outside, or sports people, however you want to call it, is really enjoy yourself. Really throw yourself in, the passion, um, the moment that the competition, that whole feeling of kicking somebody's butt. Uh, that's what I would tell you is, really enjoy that moment that you're in. And everything I do has been in the pursuit of happiness, whether it's a cliche or a movie. You can take it however you want. That's something I've always talked about. I want to always live and pursue happiness, and I'm lucky. I'm very blessed, and I'm super lucky to have somebody like Seema Stopki in my life, who just by looking at her makes me happy. So if
Lovely.
yeah, I think
Okay,
happiness and enjoyment.
but you're so right, and that's it. Be in the moment and enjoy that.
Yeah.
Simi, very nicely, couple of good compliments have come out. There's Meghna Bal saying that Simi, you are an inspiration to all. Indian golf is lucky to have you. Um, Fatty, as you so.
Younger to me, Meghna Bal, you're a bully. You bullied me constantly. All these girls bully me. Don't think that at any point of time I am bullying them. No, they all bully me. All of them.
All right. Hard to believe, but I'll take your word for it. Okay, Simi, a couple of other good compliments. Your family's also listening. I like the way you say bhaiya to Fatty, which is beautiful. But there's a question. I want to just read this full question out, actually. This is from Soumya Datta. He says, brilliant talk. So we have field golf with Gregorian breathing, which is what most older golfers have done. And they are the youngsters today with high-end coaching, camera and equipment technology. However, the kids today hit the ball a mile compared to yesteryears, so we can't discount this current school of training. What
Uh,
what would be the correct
completely,
mix?
complete bullshit. I'll bullshit. I'm calling your bullshit. I'm sorry. If you truly believe that distance has anything to do with, all of these cameras, I'm sorry. It's bullshit. Distance has everything to do with technology in equipment and ball. Boom. There you go. Put that to rest, my friend. It has nothing to do with all these fancy things. We all train the same way. We all are, the humans are all the same. No change from 90s to today. If I had a driver in the 90s that you have today, I'd probably be hitting it 60 yards further than I did then. So sorry, wrong.
Interesting, Jeev also mentioned that suddenly, at the time when the new balls were coming out and the shafts were getting better, a lot of the pros who were not able to reach the greens in twos on par fives were suddenly managing to do it. So technology and balls, beside with no change in swing, nothing.
I have balata ball. You want? Come, Munna. I'll give you balata ball. Your most, your so-called highly trained and physically fit people. Let's see how you hit that ball with a persimmon driver, right? I have, somewhere in Calcutta, I've got a persimmon driver and I've got a box of balatas. Come, I'll show you the difference. I'm really sorry. I don't buy it. It's bullshit again
So
because
that's
it
good
is
marketing, I
simply
would think.
ball.
Yeah.
Very good marketing. Very, very good marketing. That's all it is. Everything in life is marketing.
Simi, most of the other questions have been covered in our conversation, but there's some compliments which are flowing in, and there are words which are saying that that's why she's world class. You go, Simi, shine on, and go enjoy the game. That's from Seema, by the way. So, uh, great. Simi, thanks so much. As always, you have been forthright. You don't hold
Candid.
back. Candid is the right word. And there's a lot of interesting new things you have shared, which are worth exploring, worth trying out, seeing the difference that they can make to your mind, your vibrations, which not many people are aware of, what the difference they can make.
And so
Um,
sad that you're not aware of it. You
yeah,
go into a mandir and you hear the ghanti, that itself, the vibration itself makes you feel something.
right,
But how sad that you're not even aware of it.
right.
You're not aware of your body, you're not aware of your mind, you're not aware, you're literally, how do I put it, brainwashed.
So,
You need to
Simi,
take the red
yeah,
pill. Watch the movie
yeah.
Matrix. You people are living in the blue pill world. Please take the red pill and get unplugged.
But you're right. A lot of the things is because that's the way you've been taught. That's what you've heard in your school and other things which are supposed to make results happen. Now, but the new things that you have given insights to, I just hoped people who watch this show, watch the recordings later, will actually go and experiment with them, try them out, and see the difference they're making to them, their well-being, their thinking, their
Yeah.
attitudes, and going out and doing things with creativity and differentiation. Eventually, something made those two kids from Calcutta push each other to become the finest in the world. I hope we have many more such results coming out of Indians because we have the ability to do it. And I hope some of this information will, go hit the right spot and will make a difference. So thanks very
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so much for having me.
and
My
thanks for
verbal
being yourself.
diarrhea.
I've always enjoyed it, Simi. So
Yeah,
please
same
stay being the
here.
way you are.
All right.
Okay.
Peace out.
All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy that.
Thank you.
And this is for some people who would like to know a little bit more about what she spoke about very briefly. So I just thought I'd just put it up there. And great. Good to have you all on board. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.